All right. Shabbat. Not Shabbat. This is not the Shabbat. Sorry. uh, Shalom, everybody. Shalom, shalom, shalom. And this is your brother Kazakya coming to you with a Thanksgiving special. A Thanksgiving special. So I know many people are busy and preoccupied on this day, but somebody's looking for something, some knowledge, information on this day. And so just if you're tuned in, let them know that we're on live. And if you are coming in this lesson after the fact, just go ahead and share it to other people. I want to have a Thanksgiving special. Okay. And let's just open up in prayer real quick. Father, we thank and praise you for this blessed day that you've allowed us to see. We give you praise and honor for your son, Yeshua, who came through 42 generations to enable us to be engrafted back into the olive tree. We praise you on this day. Is our prayer and desire that you would empower us to be who you've called us to be in these lands of captivity. You've called us to kingship and to rulership, to dominate and to be an example to other people in the world, how to serve you and to serve as a people of authority in this hour. We do give you praise, we give you honor, name Yeshua Mashiach. We say hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Toda Yah, Amen. I want to open up with a passage real quick before we go to what I'm going to share today. Okay. I want to read a couple passages here, and then we're going to get into this festive day that the world is celebrating. Everybody's getting ready to eat some turkey, gobble, gobble, gobble. And people are going to be watching the football games. I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. My game will be on at 4 o'clock. Some people already tuned into their favorite game. But I want to talk about this topic of Thanksgiving versus Thankstaking, right? And now, as we open, I want to kind of open up with Psalms 18 as an opener, 18 and 49. Let's bring this up on the screen here. And Psalms 18:49 says, "Therefore will I give thanks unto thee, O Yah, among the heathens, and sing praises unto thy name." So the Most High is wanting us to know that we give thanks and praise, right, to the Most High. Some people are only going to give thanks and praise on a specific day that's been set apart by the world government, and they call it a day of Thanksgiving. But I'm reminded of a song that says every day is a day of Thanksgiving, right? So let's go to Psalms again. Psalms 30 and 12. Okay. It says, let's start at verse 11. Thou hast turned for me my mourning into dancing. Thou hast put off my sackcloth and girded me with gladness, to the end that my esteem may sing praise to thee and not be silent, O Yah, my Elohim. I will give thanks unto thee. How often? Forever. So the psalmist said, I'm going to give thanks forever. not just on that one 365 day out the year, one to 365, but I'm going to give him thanks forever. Let's go to Psalms 35:18. Says, I will give thee thanks in the great congregation, and I will praise thee among much people. So we're going to give thanks and praise to the Most High, right? He says, among much people. Okay. Let's go to Psalm 79:13. So it says, we the people and the sheep of thy pasture will give thee thanks forever. We will show forth thy praise to all generations. So we're going to give thanks forever. Okay. Now, some would say, okay, well, what's wrong with giving thanks on one particular day? The year that the world has just happened to call it Thanksgiving Day. There can't be nothing wrong with Thanksgiving Day. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Hey, shalom, my brother. Light to the Gentile. Good to see you, my brother. It's just you and me right now. So let's take a look at some things here first. First, the thing is that many of my family members, and this is not an attack because I have many Christians that view this channel. But the thing is that, let me go to Psalm 47 real quick, and it's going to kind of explain what I'm about to say. So go to Psalms 47, right? And I want to single in this verse 6 and 7. Okay. So it says, sing praises to Yah. We'll just change that back. Sing praises to our King. Sing praises. For Yah is the King of all the earth. Sing praises, right? With and comprehension, or it says understanding. Let's look at the Hebrew word for that word understanding. We always say comprehension. So it is the word sakal in the Hebrew, which means to make or act circumspect, and hence intelligent. So maybe we'll change that word to intelligence. Okay. Circumspect. Sing ye praises with intelligence. Okay. So if we're going to sing praises with intelligence, right? What does intelligence mean, right? Intelligence means to do something that you know, right? Let's get a definition for intelligence. This is not the route that I had anticipated on going, but let's get a definition for intelligence. And let's see. Hold on one quick second here. I'm going to go to my famous American heritage, and we're going to put in here intelligence. I spelled it wrong. Intelligence. Okay, let's just do intellect. I saw intellect came up. So that's good. We'll use that one. That's the root word to intelligence. So it says it's defined as the ability to learn and reason, the capacity for knowledge, and that word understanding, that word we're trying to avoid. A person's individual ability to think and reason. A person of great intellectual ability, right? So let's just say intellect is basically knowledge, basically knowing, right? So when the King James word understanding is there, it's talking about knowledge, knowing, right? So when you're praising the Most High, right, we're supposed to know what, why, when, where, and how, right? So when we take a day like the, let me see, hold on a second. Life to the Gentiles. I had a guy on my channel say that the tree in Jeremiah isn't a Christmas tree because Christmas is Europeans. Europeans. I can't see. This heart's in the way. Okay. I don't know why this thing does that. I'm trying to look at the comment, and this thing is putting this. My phone is putting the heart in the way. Okay. Let me do this here. Okay, because Christmas is European, so it's okay. I told him it's still pagan and isn't. Oh yeah, it doesn't matter who made it. So that's the mindset we deal with. Like to the Gentile, that's the mindset we deal with. People say, "Well, doesn't mean that to me." Okay, it doesn't matter what it means to you. It's what it represents. Uh, in a nutshell, um, years ago, I did a study on the actual origin of Thor's Day because Turkey Day is always on Thor's Day, right? So is it a coincidence that the Super Bowl in the Colosseum, we learned that in the book of Maccabees, that in the Colosseums, that was a place of worship, right? The Greeks, okay? So now we have a modernized Colosseum where we watching people get killed and get not killed physically, but get killed. I mean, not get killed permanently, but get killed physically, get hurt and harmed, right? In the Colossal Stadium, right? On the day of Thor, which is Thursday, right? It's always the Turkey Day is always on a Thursday. So the deeper meaning of that is not just simply a day of eating turkey. It's actually a festivity of the worship of the deity Thor. But that's a whole nother lesson, and I'm not going to go that route today. But that's what it really boils down to. That's what it is. It is the worship of Thor. Praise Yah, which butcher. Okay. Now, so we have to praise him with intelligence to know why it is that we do what we do. So now when we go into I think it's Deuteronomy where he says let me see if I can find it by doing that. Deuteronomy, I think it is. Let's see. Hold on for a second. I'm looking for a specific verse here. Where he tells him not to serve him like the nations do when you go into the land. It's somewhere in Deuteronomy. I might be getting the wrong phrase. Let's see if I can pull it real quick. Not definitely not in my notes. Okay, let's see. Okay, it's Deuteronomy 12. That's it. So Deuteronomy 12, just to kind of add to what you just said, my brother, is The thing is, so he said, yeah, Thursday night football too as well. Okay, this Deuteronomy 12 and 30 says, let's read not 29 and 30 together. It says, when Yah thy Elohim shall cut off the nations from before thee, where you go to possess them, and you succeed them and dwell in their land. Take heed to yourself that you be not snared by following them after that they be destroyed from before thee, that you inquire not after the deities, saying, how did these nations serve their deities? Even so will I do likewise. Right? So that's what the Most High is trying to get us to see. We're not supposed to serve Yah and say, well, it don't mean that to me. This is what it means. You can't have your own personal meaning of these pagan festival days, right? Now, so with that said, what I want to do is just give you a little brief history. We were taught in school that Thanksgiving was a day of, of celebration for harvest, right? The pilgrims and the Indians got together and they just prayed and thanked God for blessing them with harvest. Okay. That's what you was taught, right? But that's not the truth, right? So I'm going to read from some sources. We're going to read from some sources that's going to speak otherwise with regards to what the status quo is as far as to the history or the meaning behind the date, right? So what I want to do is let's just move my notes over here, and I guess I could do it this way. I'll let you cheat, let you see my notes. Okay, so now, where did the term Indian come from? Because see, when we talk about natives, Native Americans, okay, the people that were indigenous here, and like to the Gentiles, it's going to be in the book. The Canaanites, Phoenicians, they voyaged everywhere to the four corners because they had ships. Then you had also, in addition to them, later on, you had the Vikings made expeditions to this part of the world as well. So that's where you get your higher hue natives and you get your darker natives. You get your darker natives that came from the Canaanite clans, right? So that's your Phoenicians. So when you get your crossbreed between your Phoenicians, Canaanites who voyaged, and a crossing between the European stock, you get a mixed melanated contrast, right? So many Mexicans are a combination of Phoenicians and Spanish people, right? Okay, that's another lesson that's going to be in the book. But now, so when it comes to this terminology, Native American Indians, right? We're gonna explain to you where it came from a source I was reading this morning. Okay, so let's go in to. It says, where did the term Indian get applied to natives in America? Okay, so this was a question I asked AI. The AI. He says, the term Indian is reference to the original inhabitants of the American continent, right? So the original inhabitants of the American continent, right? According to some of the scholars that go way back into the 15th century writers, talk about a combination. You have Edomites who intermingled with the Canaanites and Phoenicians, right? Tyre, all of those people, right? So some of the melanated people, as a matter of fact, there's a book source, Light and Truth, R.B. Lewis, and he says in the book that the Indians in America, he says they are Edomites. Okay, so but they're small. I can see that to be true. Okay, and that's going to be in the book too as well. So we look at the term comes from. He said the term comes from a a reference to the original inhabitants of an American continent is said to be derived from Christopher, right? And it's Christopher Columbus. That's the Hellenized. That's the English translated name, which is Christopher Columbus. It says derived from Christopher Columbus, a 15th century boat person. Some say he used the term because he was convinced that he had arrived in India or Indies, and he has a parenthesis Asia, his intended destination. So it was from that time forward that these people were classified as Indians. Okay, now there's no connection between the natives, who they call Indians, and the people from India. Okay, there's no DNA connection. So when your mother or your grandmother told you that you have Indian blood, that your great grandmother was an Indian Cherokee or whatever, or we're gonna learn a new term today called Wampanoag. Okay, so when you was told that you came from Indian, and you look at your DNA and your DNA don't give you any connection to anybody in India, you said, my mom was lying. No, she wasn't lying. Those people that you're connected to DNA are not Indians, right? They are, like I said, they are a Hamitic stock intermixed between Shemite and Edomite, Shemite, and some, in fact, may have actually be a mixture of some Israelite wandering tribes as well. Okay. All right. So when we look at that terminology, that's where that terminology came from. So everybody that's indigenous to this country is not of Indian stock. That's the name been thrown on them, just like we've been given the label Negro or Haitian or Bohemian or Jamaican, right? Now, the oppressors labeled us with these names. So we can be everything but Israel in their eyes, right? So yeah, he said people like to try to repackage pagan days and make it about loving Jesus, as they say. Yeah, that's what they do. Right, yeah. So, like I said, so yeah, I mean, in the book, I mean, when I get this book on the press, it's gonna be number one seller. I know it because I'm working overtime. I'm getting a lot of scholars input, a lot of books that a lot of people I never heard a lot of people use from, but most I put a lot of these old resources in my hands, and I'm going with it. Okay, so yeah, so the natives here are a combination of mixture of different tribal connections. And you could even go as far as to say they were Arabic in nature, because the Arab means a person. It's not a person who lives in Saudi Arabia. From the definition of the word Arab just means a mixed breed, right? So a person who is crossed over from one son of Noah, from say the line of Shem to the line of Ham, you have an Arab, right? Whether they are from Saudi Arabia or not, right? It's Arab just means mix, a mixed people, right? All right, now, so that's where that terminology came from. He thought he was in India, the actual literal place India, right? This little footnote here in my book, I'm giving you a little excerpt. Okay, so in one of my resources said that the actual country of India was founded by King Shalomo. That's how you end up having the tribes of Israel in India. When you read in the book of Hadassah, Esther, and they're in the land of India, right? That according to the record, King Shalomo had ships. He did trade. He ended up founding India. So in their history, whether they tell it or not, the founder was an Israelite, was a Shemite. Now that's not to say all the people that lived there are from Shem. because you have a conglomeration, a mixture of people, just like you have in America, right? So that's where that terminology came from, right? Now, so you have, therefore you have what would be considered as, I asked the question, are are Indians white or black? And then the answer came back. So depending on the social and legal context, some Indian Americans may identify as either white or black, right? So, as we know, white and black was created by the power structure to keep the real Israelites oppressed, because you're not a part of the elite status if you're not white, okay? So, now, which lead me to the next point. So, the origin of this day is based off of one specific tribe of people in the New England states called a Wampanoag people. Okay, Wampanoga. I'm going to pull up a link on the screen, and we're going to read a little bit about them. Right. So it says the Wampanoag. Right. Let's play it and see what it says.
Wampanoag.
Wampanoag. Okay, I said it wrong. The Wampanoag, also rendered Wampanoag, are a Native American people. Notice they got that part right. They didn't say Indian, they said Native American, right? Of northeastern woodlands, currently based in southeastern Massachusetts, and formerly part of eastern Rhode Island. Their historical territories include the islands of Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket. I think I said it right. Please pardon me if I didn't say it right. Okay, so those are the people that this historical day is based around when they talk about Thanksgiving in this land, okay? Apart from the original origin of the worship of Thor that goes back into the Germanic tribes, right? So when you think about it, right, actually the people that came from Germany, and they were Germanic tribes, right, which would also include the Angles and the Saxons, they already worship Thor. So why not include a festivity that they mix and merge and have it set on a specific day called Thor's Day, or we call it Thursday, in honor and worship of the deity Thor, which was given to us by the Germanic people. Okay. So, these were the people that this was all based on. Now, I'm not gonna read this whole article here. There's some other stuff in here, but let's go to the history part here, where it says history. It says contacts between the Wampanoag and colonists began in the 16th century when European merchants, vessels, and fishing boats traveled along the coast of New England. So let me back this up again, say that again. Contacts between Wampanoag and colonists began in the 16th century when European merchants, vessels, and fishing boats traveled along the coast of New England. Captain Thomas Hunt captured several Wampanoag in 1614 and sold them in Spain as slaves, right? So, we look at this here. We see that these European merchants came to the New World. There was already people here called the Wampanoags, native people. And as a matter of fact, if you Google them, you'll find out that there's still a community of Wampanoags up in the New England area that still exists living today. Kind of like the Gullah Geechees, okay? So now, they came to this world, and what do? They captured. That's not what they do. Just like they went into Europe and went into Africa and captured, right? our ancestors and brought them here. They went and they captured. They came here and captured. And it said what he said. They sold them, right? They kidnapped and they sold them in Spain as slaves. So it's kind of like a reverse slave trade, Like remember in our history, you had the king, the Spain, the king of for the Ferdinand came and took the Israelites that was in Spain and Portugal, kicked them out into Africa and put them on the island of Saint Thomé or Saint Thomas, and then after they did that, they brought them to the New World, into southern South America, Brazil, places like that, and the islands, right? So here in the New England states, they did the reverse of that. They took the people that was over here that had voyaged and had made settlements, and they captured and took them back to Spain. That's what he said. Took them to Spain and sold them as slaves, right? So you got the Patuxent, okay, named Tisquantum, and Squanto was kidnapped by who? He was kidnapped by Spanish monks who attempted to convert him before setting him free. Now, when you go and read the Spanish Inquisition, that's what they did. They made them convert, or we're going to make you a slave. Okay, if Christianity is so powerful, why do you feel the need to force somebody to become a Christian? But modern Christians today are saying, oh, nobody was forced to be a Christian. That's all documented in the history. We're reading it now. So he said, the Spanish monks, right? This Captain Thomas Hunt, right quick. Let me just I want to look at him right quick. Okay, then we're going to come back to the article. Okay, so this Thomas Hunt, okay. Let's Google him real quick. Let's get a little history about him. Okay. Okay, here we go. Thomas Hunt. Okay. Captain Thomas Hunt. I got a couple different Hunts here. Let's go back. Captain Thomas Hunt. Let's do this one here. Okay. So this says Captain Thomas Hunt. The nefarious deed of Captain Thomas Hunt. Okay, so last month's column in the series presented an unheralded role of John Smith in the Plymouth colony, his 1614 exploration of the American northeast coast, which he named New England. Well, he named it New England, right? And it says his writings and his detailed map, which he carried on the Mayflower, right? Okay, so Captain Thomas Hunt. Smith returned to England, leaving Captain Thomas Hunt, one of his subordinate commanders, with one of his expedition ships. So he was, I guess he was the navigator. So, but I can guarantee he was a Christian. That's what I was trying to get some history on him. But okay, be that as it may. Okay, so let's go back. Where was I at here before I went that? Okay, so they took and sold them into Spain as slaves, right? And it says that the Spanish monk, where was that? A Spanish monk attempted to convert him before setting him free. He accompanied an expedition to Newfoundland as an interpreter, then made his way back to his homeland in 1619, only to discover that the entire Patuxent tribe had died in an epidemic, right? Okay, so there's a video clip I'm going to play where they talk about that, where the plague, the disease came from Europe, right? And so it was, the whole Thanksgiving thing is not a beautiful thing at all. I mean, apart from the origin of the pagan worship of Thor, there's nothing thankful about the whole thing, right? Okay. So let's continue reading this, and then we'll go to the next phase here. In 1620, the Pilgrims arrived at Plymouth and Tisquantum and other Wampanoag taught them how to cultivate the varieties of corn, squash, beans, and the three sisters that flourish in New England, as well as how to catch and process fish and collect seafood. How about that? Now, who's the number one people that's fishing and selling you fish now? Maybe it's why we got E. coli. The natives that was selling fish, they had them problems, but now we buying fish and we find out that fish got all kinds of mercury and contamination and different things of that nature, right? Eating the fish don't even taste right. It's not even fresh or clean anymore. It tastes fishy, if you will. Okay. So they taught them how to collect seafood and how to they enabled the pilgrims to survive in the first winters, and Squanto lived with them and acted as the middleman between the Maslets, the Wampanoags, Sachem, and the Mort's relationship until initial contact between pilgrims and Wampanoag was recorded as beginning in the spring of 1621. So now, what I want to do is let's exit out of this documentary. This link here, and I want to progress to something different here. So let's look at a clip. No, actually, this is not a clip. This is another link. We're going to read some stuff from this link. It's going to kind of educate us a little more further with the Wampanoag people. So let's go to this link here, and this link says the true story behind the first Thanksgiving, right? It says, for the Pilgrims and Native Americans, it wasn't all peace and harmony, right? So it wasn't all peace and harmony for the Pilgrims initially, right? Okay, let's go in. Our Thanksgiving time a time to dive fast first into mountains of mashed potatoes, count our blessings, thank you, and if we're feeling really ambitious, get up a friendly game of toss the pigskin, with the cousin, or watch our favorite team do the same. But before we all descended into food comas, it's important to reflect on the real history of Thanksgiving, right? The first one wasn't all peace, love, and pass the gravy, while the settlers at Plymouth and their allies from the Wampanoag tribe really did get together in 1621 for a table groaning. 3-day feast to celebrate the settlers' first harvest. That's far from the whole story. Okay, so in other words, what he's saying is that's the line that we've been fed, but that's not the whole story. Okay. In elementary school, most of us probably learned that English religious exiles began establishing civilization in what they called the New World, winning over the local indigenous people already living there with promises of friendship. Then the Native Americans taught the new arrivals how to grow crops to sustain their growing societies, and everybody lived happily ever after. Well, not quite. The real story is far more complicated, but to mention a lot less kind-friendly. In reality, the peace that brought the Wampanoag and the settlers together at the historical table wasn't as easy to come by as we'd like to believe. He says a lot of bloodshed took place both before and after the first feast. And mistreatment of Native Americans continued to this day. That's why many Native Americans and others mark Thanksgiving as a solemn day of remembrance instead of a celebration, right? So to the natives that have continued in their historical dynamic, Thanksgiving is not a day of celebration, right? It is a day of mourning, because knowing the history behind the invaders, let's just call it what it is, who came to invade a people who was already established, right? That's what the sons of Japheth is notorious for doing, invading people, for stealing and conquering, right? Conquering the people, right? Okay. Let's continue. So he says, here's what really went down after the plates were cleared in Plymouth, Massachusetts. He says at least 100 people came to dinner. Okay. If you're cooking for a crowd this year, take comfort in the fact that more than 100 people were in attendance that first Thanksgiving. Okay. And they didn't even have running water, never mind dishwater. At least 90 native men and 50 English came to the feast. Plymouth Plantation. Colonial Foodways culinary experts Kathleen Wall told Time. The native people dined sitting on the ground like they did at home, and the English ate at a table like they did at theirs, right? I don't know if I completely agree with that part there. That they ate at the table. Okay, it depends on it. Maybe the elite people did, but the lowland people didn't. Okay, but let's continue. I digress. The festivities lasted 3 days, and since it took on Wampanoag a solid 2 or walk there. So yes, overnight holiday guests are deeply rooted in Thanksgiving tradition. Okay. So it says here the Wampanoag leader brokered peace. The Wampanoag leader named Massasoit first negotiated a treaty between the Plymouth settlers and the Wampanoag tribe in 1620. Now keep in mind that prior to that, they had took, I think it was, what was it, Captain Hook that we read about? Not Captain Hunt. So the peace treaty was established to prevent any further of that forced to Christianity thing. Okay. But watch what happens here. So they negotiated a treaty between the Plymouth settlers and the Wampanoag tribe in 1620, which included an agreement that no member of either group would harm anyone from the other. How long do you think that was going to last? Let's continue. They also pledged to leave their weapons at home when trading to further ensure peaceful commerce. For about 10 years, the Massasoit and the Pilgrims remained allies, trading English goods, right? They traded English goods and for Wampanoag land access to natural resources and other assets. But after Massasoit passed away in 1661 and his son Wamsuta took over, tensions began to simmer. In the years between 1630 and 1642 alone, about 25,000 European colonizers arrived. So here comes the European colonizers. Here comes your Fef coming on the scene, right? And while a devastating plague decimated the native population by more than half. So they brought with them the diseases, right? They don't want you to know that, but that's what they brought. Okay. And while a devastating plague decimated the native population by more than half, Wamsuta himself died mysteriously in 1662. No, he didn't die mysteriously. They killed him. Okay. He died mysteriously in 1662 while visiting the Puritans to talk over, gathering unrest between the two groups. Atlas Obscura reports his successor Metacomet only fanned the flames, right? Okay. Continuing. Under violating a treaty led to bloodshed. In 1675, 3 natives were executed after killing a man who had served as a translator to the settlers, which only further engendered distrust between the two groups. Metacomet feared the natives would lose more land to the new arrivals and built a coalition of various native tribes to protect themselves and their resources, right? So he already knew what was going to happen, right? He knew them Europeans coming over here from England and they going to try to take over just like they did. And they actually did it, right? It took a civil war to bring it to a halt, okay? By the autumn of 1765, the coalition members began to clash with settlers, attacking settlements in Connecticut and Massachusetts. Narragansett tribe originally wanted to remain neutral but wouldn't give up Wampanoag, who had taken refuge in their encampment. Oh, sound like, remember that in the book of the law we're talking about the city of refuge. Okay. Who had taken refuge in the encamp or turned away women, children, and the elderly to infirm from that tribe who came to them seeking shelter from the conflict. As a result, the Puritans attacked Narragansett stronghold, killing up to 600. Look at that. 600 natives and about 150 settlers in a bloody battle and its aftermath. Look at that. Thanksgiving or Thankstaking. So they killed 600. Now remember the whole thing. This is the whole gist of the thing, right? They perpetrated like they wanted to be friends because the intention was, I'm going to take your land. So, in other words, for me to get the advantage, right, of getting your stuff, I need to become a friend so I can know how to get in there and get it. Okay. And that's what they did, right? So here it says that they killed up to 600 natives and about 150. So now you got to add to the story. You got people that died from a plague that came from Europe with those European settlers, right? They died from that plague, half of them, and then now you're going to kill 600 natives in war. Bloodshed, right? Okay, let's continue. It said the conflict further devastated native populations. What was later known as the King Philip's War. All right. The King Philip's War. Okay. So if you Google the King Philip's War, there's books. I got the books, but I'm not going to make this a lengthy discussion. But you can pull up the books on Saint Philip's King Philip's War. Okay. King Philip was an Indian. The Indians took on the names of their oppressors. So they lost their Indian tribal names and they embraced the names of the Europeans. Okay. So it says the war later was known as King Philip's War, ensued, so named after Metacom's English moniker. Let me back it up and say that again. King Philip's War ensued, so named after Metacom's English moniker, right? King Philip. The subsequent conflicts deeply impacted both the native tribes and the colonies. The Wampanoag abducted settlers, right, and held them ransom while settlers pillaged and destroyed native villages. It's kind of like the same thing they did, and it says in Palestine, right? The Ethnic Cleansing of Palestine. That's a good book. The Ethnic Cleansing of Palestine talks about that. So it's the same thing that they did then that they're doing now, right? Okay. So it says that much of the colonies were burnt and looted, taking decades to fully recover. In an article, Historical Journal of Massachusetts says the war could have claimed as many as 30% of the English population and half of the Native Americans. So look at them, do the math. Okay, so more of them was killed than the English people, and says that half of the Americans then living in what's now New England. The war officially ended when Netacoma was killed, beheaded, and dismembered. According to It Happened in Rhode Island. So they killed him and dismembered him, right? His remaining allies were executed or sold into slavery in the West Indies. See that? So these people, that was as a result of this King Philip's War, these natives, and I'm going to say they are Hamitic in appearance, not Japhetic, okay? Those natives were taken to West Indies to serve as slaves. So you have the predecessor of this European colonizers took people to Spain, enslaved them. This one took them to the West Indies for the purposes of building up empires for them, right? Okay. So it says that his remaining allies were executed or sold into slavery in the West Indies. The colonists impaled King Philip. They impaled King Philip's head on a spike and displayed it in Plymouth for 25 years as a macabre effigy to the strife. You got to be sick in your brain to chop somebody's head off and to put it on display for 25 years. But that's what they did. But while you gobbling down that turkey, you think about what these colonizers did. Ain't no thanks in that, brother and sister. Okay. So they gobbled down. He took the head. He took the head and he I just messed up there, didn't I? Okay. Something I did. Hopefully I'm still coming through. Okay. So they took his head and put it on a spike and displayed it at Plymouth for 25 years, right? Put it on display. Okay, it says here, natively, people never really recovered. Of course, King Philip's War wasn't the last or only conflict between native peoples and the colonizers. Other battles raged in Virginia, Connecticut, New York, and elsewhere, and the Native American population has never really recovered. For the thriving societies that were already living in what's now the United States, when the Europeans arrived, the settlers arrival wasn't the beginning of the New World, but the end of one. How about that? Make America great again? Is this what it means to make America great again, right? For that reason, the Native Americans and their allies have gathered at noon on Thankstaking at the Coles Hill in Plymouth to commemorate a national day of mourning, right? Not a day of thanks, but a day of mourning. They gather on this day as a day of mourning in remembrance to what the heathens did to them on a national scale. Okay. So they gathered in Plymouth to commemorate a national day of mourning. And they got I guess there's a link there. Let's open up a new tab. We'll go to and look at it. Since 1970, participates in the National Day of Mourning, honor Native ancestors and the struggles of Native and Indigenous people to survive here today. It's a day dedicated to remembrance, spiritual connection, and protest against racism, genocide, and oppression that Native Americans have suffered and continue to suffer today. Right? This year, spare a thought for Native people before tucking into your turkey and remember the real history of Thankstaking, right? So that concludes the article there. So now, how do you feel about Turkey Day after knowing the history behind that, right? So years ago, when I was in Chicago, we used to say Thankstaking, right? Now you understand now why we say Thankstaking. Because they came and they took the land, they took their children and they sold them into slavery, right? and it just came with the taking spirit, not a giving spirit, right? And so this day is a day of remembrance of mourning, right? Now I clicked on that link there for the mourning. Where did my link go? Okay, here is a link. It says United American Indians of New England. Okay. Now notice that they all are different colors here. Look at the different color shades of people. They're natives. Okay. Now, what is that to say? Every Native American is not from the same people. Okay. Remember what we said earlier. The scholar, I think his name was John Ogilvy, talked about how that the Canaanites, the Greeks, the Romans, right? They all voyaged to different parts of the world. They had ships. So the Phoenicians was the ones that traveled the globe. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to make this a lengthy discussion, but I was reading a book earlier where it talked about how the Phoenicians went all the way up to Britain. So they even established land in Europe that was later on taken over by the Germanic tribes that forced them out of those lands. Okay. All right. So back in here. So the National Day of Mourning. It says since 1970, indigenous people and their allies have gathered at noon on Coles Hill, Plymouth, to commemorate a National Day of Mourning on the U.S. Thanksgiving holiday. So while people are celebrating, the natives are mourning this day. Okay, let's go. All right. Many native people do not celebrate the arrival of the Pilgrims and other European settlers. And read it again. Many native people do not celebrate the arrival of Pilgrims and other European settlers. Thanksgiving Day is a reminder of the genocide of millions of native people, the thefts of native islands, native lands, and the erasure of native cultures. Participants in the National Day of Mourning honor indigenous ancestors and native residents. It is a day of remembering and spiritual connection, as well as protest against the racism and oppression that indigenous people continue to experience worldwide. Right? Okay, so this was posted. This says this is actually a recent post. National Day of Mourning, Thursday, November 28th, which is today, 2024, at 12 noon in Coles Hill, above Plymouth Rock in Plymouth, Massachusetts, right? Okay. So I'm not going to go any further. I had some video clips I was going to play. I'll leave some links in the video description. You can check out those clips and get some more knowledge about or hear what the native people had to say about this day. In fact, I'll post this one link in here that which is really good. It talks about how, let's see if I can find it right quick. My mouse is acting funny here. Let's see. Is it this one here? Oh, here, it's this one here. Okay, let's copy. And check this link out. I'm not going to play it because I'm really out of time. But check out this link here. Okay. All right, let's see. Well, my brother, it looks like it's just you and me. And okay, peace, people. Okay, I was told that the natives, let me see, were a tribe of Israel. Some, not all. See, that's the danger when you say all. Just like every black person in America is not an Israelite. Okay. Some of them may be, in fact, Egyptians. Oh, what is my thoughts about people making Ruth an Israelite to prove their doctrine that women can't convert? Well, Ruth was a Moabite, so she was not an Israelite. She was from the tribe. She was from Moab. And Moab, we know who Moab is, right? Okay, so that I mean, those camps will do anything possible in their power to, if they read this book from R.B. Lewis, right? R.B. Lewis tells a different story about all the Indians. He said they're Esau. He said, I have a teaching about the color being useless because Esau and Moab in Egypt was black. That's correct. Yeah, fast name is deceiver. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and close out. So I know people are watching the game now, but when they get finished after the team loses or whatever, they get stuff. They're gonna want to go on YouTube and they'll find the video here. And as I close out, please feel free, you know, brothers and sisters. We're not trying to manipulate anybody financially, but the thing is that, Israelites don't like to. The Christians are very notorious for giving, but for some reason or other, Israelites becoming a knowledge, they don't give nothing. They want everything for free. No contributions, not even the $5 offerings. I'm not talking about hundreds and thousands of dollars. I'm talking about just a contribution, any contribution. So you see the link there, $ Kazakabad. That's our link for Cash App, and Zelle is 410-739-4579. So with that note, brothers and sisters, I'm going to bid you shalom. And so the song 8511 Ministry featuring Elder. Yeah. Huh. Good to see you. Song 8511 Ministries. I have to look. What is that song 85 and 11? You got curiosity going now. Psalms 85 and 11. Let's see. Psalms 85 and 11. 85 and 11. Truth shall spring out of the earth, and righteousness shall look down from heaven. Okay. Hallelujah. Praise y'all for that. Well, I'm signing off. So listen, for those of you that just tuned in, on Shabbat, we've gone to memberships on our Sons and Daughters of the Covenant of Yah. We leave that space, but this channel is going to be our new channel where we'll upload videos and stuff like that, or I'll have special presentations and stuff like that. Okay. So feel free if you want to come on over to the membership class. That's our in-depth study. We take our time. We go into books. We give links and the whole 9 yards. We don't just get up here and just talk. We give you references. We give you book links and stuff like that where you can actually get stuff, sources of things. So if you want to come on over to the Sons and Daughters of the Covenant of Yah YouTube channel. That's our sister channel. That's actually our paternal, our father channel, right? Not maternal, paternal channel, right? So join us there. And as I close, we'll see you all the next appointed time. Have a blessed day, and we'll see you soon. All right. Shalom, shalom.